Chapter 47. The Book of Knowledge. Chapter 1. The prohibition of and warning against seeking out verses of the Quran whose meanings are not decisive. The prohibition of arguing about the Quran. Aisha reported that Allah's Messenger recited these verses of the Quran. He it is who revealed to thee, Muhammad, the book, the Quran, wherein there are clear revelations. These are the substance of the book, and others are allegorical verses. And as for those who have a yearning for error, they go after the allegorical verses, seeking to cause dissension by seeking to explain them, and none knows their implications but Allah. And those who are sound in knowledge say, we affirm our faith in everything which is from our Lord. It is only the persons of understanding who really heed. 6. Aisha further reported that Allah's Messenger said in connection with these verses, when you see such verses, avoid them, for it is they whom Allah has pointed out in the mentioned verses. Abdullah bin Umar reported, I went to Allah's Messenger in the morning, and he heard the voice of two persons who had an argumentation with each other about a verse. Allah's Apostle came to us, and the signs of anger could be seen on his face. He said, verily the people before you were ruined because of their disputation in the book. Jundub bin Abdullah al-Bajali reported Allah's Messenger as saying, recite the Quran as long as your hearts agree to do so, and when you feel variance between them, between your hearts and tongues, then get up and leave its recital for the time being. Jundub ibn Abdullah reported that Allah's Messenger said, recite the Quran as long as your hearts agree to do so, and when you find variance between them, then stand up. Abu Imran reported that Jundub told us as we were young boys living in Hilfa, that Allah's Messenger had said, recite the Quran, the rest of the Hadith is the same. Chapter 2. The one who is harsh in arguing. Aisha reported Allah's Messenger as saying, the most despicable amongst persons in the eye of Allah is one who tries to fall into dispute with others for nothing but only to display his knowledge and power of argumentation. Chapter 3. Following the ways of the Jews and Christians. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri reported that Allah's Messenger as saying, you would tread the same path as was trodden by those before you, inch by inch and step by step, and so much so that if they had entered into the hole of the lizard, and you would follow them in this also. We said, Allah's Messenger, do you mean Jews and Christians by your words? Those before you, he said, who else than those two religious groups? This hadith is reported through Muhammad bin Mutarif from Zayd bin Aslam with the same chain. This hadith has been narrated on the authority of Ata bin Yasir through another chain of transmitters. Chapter 4. The destruction of those who go to extremes. Abdullah reported Allah's Messenger as saying, ruined were those who indulged in hair splitting. He, the Holy Prophet, repeated this thrice. Chapter 5. The taking away of knowledge and the spread of ignorance at the end of time. Anas bin Malik reported Allah's Messenger as saying, "It is from the conditions of the last hour that knowledge would be taken away, and ignorance would prevail upon the world. The liquor would be drunk, and adultery would become rampant." Qatida reported that Anas bin Malik said, "May I not narrate to you a hadith which I heard from Allah's Messenger, which no one would narrate to you after me, who would have personally heard it from him, the Holy Prophet, as I have the good fortune to do so. It is from the signs of the last hour that knowledge will be taken away, ignorance would prevail upon the world, adultery would become common, and wine would be drunk. The number of men will fall short, and the woman would survive, and thus such disparity would arise in the number of men and women that there would be one man to look after 50 women." This hadith has been transmitted on the authority of Anas bin Malik through another chain of narrators, but with a slight variation of wording. Abu Wa'il reported, "I was sitting with Abdullah and Abu Musa that they reported Allah's Messenger having said, prior to the last hour there would be a time when knowledge would be taken away and ignorance would take its place, and there would be bloodshed on a large scale." This hadith has been narrated on the authority of Abdullah bin Masud and Abu Musa al-Ashari through other chains of transmitters. A hadith like this has been narrated on the authority of Abu Musa through another chain of transmitters. Abu Wa'il reported, "I was sitting with Abu Musa and Abdullah, and they were conversing with each other, and Abu Musa reported Allah's Messenger as saying that we found in the above mentioned hadith." Abu Huraira reported Allah's Messenger as saying, "When the time would draw close to the last hour, knowledge would be snatched away, turmoil would be rampant, miserliness would be put in the hearts of the people, and there would be much bloodshed." They said, "What is this?" They said, "What is al-Hajj?" Thereupon he said, "It is bloodshed." This hadith has been transmitted on the authority of Abu Huraira with a slight variation of wording. Abu Huraira reported Allah's Messenger having said, "The time would draw close to the last hour and knowledge would decrease." The rest of the hadith is the same. This hadith has been transmitted on the authority of Abu Huraira through other chains of narrators, and there is no mention of miserliness would be put in the hearts of the people. Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As reported Allah's Messenger as saying, "Verily Allah does not take away knowledge by snatching it from the people, but He takes away knowledge by taking away the scholars, so that when He leaves no learned person, people turn to the ignorant as their leaders. When they are asked to deliver religious verdicts and they deliver them without knowledge, they go astray and lead others astray. This hadith has been narrated on the authority of Abdullah bin Umar through other chains of transmitters, but in the hadith transmitted by Umar bin Ali there is an addition of these words. I met Abdullah bin Amr and at the end of the year, and I asked him about it, and he narrated to us the hadith as he had narrated before, that he had heard Allah's Messenger as saying. The rest of the hadith is the same. This hadith has been narrated on the authority of Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As through another chain of transmitters. Urwa bin Zubair reported that Aisha said to him, "This news has reached me that Abdullah bin Amr al-As would pass by us during the Hajj season, so you meet him and ask him about religious matters, as he has acquired great knowledge from Allah's Messenger. I thus met him and asked him about things which he narrated from Allah's Messenger, and amongst these Urwa bin Zubair reported that Aisha said to him, "This news has reached me that Abdullah bin Amr al-As would pass by us during the Hajj season. So you meet him and ask him about religious matters, as he has acquired great knowledge from Allah's Messenger. I thus met him and asked him about things which he narrated from Allah's Messenger. And amongst these, the one he mentioned was that Allah's Apostle said, Verily, Allah does not take away knowledge from people directly, but it takes away the scholars and consequently takes away knowledge along with them, and leaves amongst persons the ignorant as their leaders who deliver religious verdicts without adequate knowledge and themselves go astray and lead others astray." Urwa said, "When I narrated this to Aisha, she deemed it too much to believe, and thus showed reluctance to accept that as perfectly true, and said to Urwa, Did he, Abdullah bin Amr, say to you that he had heard Allah's Apostle as saying?" Urwa had forgotten to ask this from Abdullah bin Amr, so when it was the next year, Aisha said to him, "Urwa ibn Amr has come for Hajj, so meet him, talk to him, and ask him about this hadith that he narrated to you last year on the occasion of the Hajj, pertaining to knowledge." Urwa said, "So I meet him and asked about it, and he narrated to me exactly like one that he had narrated to me for the first time. So when I informed her, Aisha, about that, she said, I do not think but that he has certainly told the truth, and I find that B has neither made any addition to it nor missed anything from it." Chapter 6. The one who starts something good or something bad. The one who calls others to guidance or misguidance. Jarir bin Abdullah reported that that some desert Arabs, clad in woolen clothes, came to Allah's Messenger. He saw them in sad plight, as they had been hard pressed by need. He, the Holy Prophet, exhorted people to give charity, but they showed some reluctance until signs of anger could be seen on his face. Then a person from the Ansar came with a purse containing silver. Then came another person, and then other persons followed them in succession, until signs of happiness could be seen on his sacred face. Thereupon Allah's Messenger said, "He who introduced some good practice in Islam, which was followed after him by people, he would be assured of reward like one who followed it, without the rewards being diminished in any respect. And he who introduced some evil practice in Islam, which had been followed subsequently by others, he would be required to bear the burden like that of one who followed his evil practice without theirs being diminished in any respect." Jarir reported that Allah's Messenger delivered an address in which he exhorted people to give charity. Jarir bin Abdullah reported Allah's Messenger as saying, "The servant does not introduce good practice which is followed after him." The rest of the hadith is the same. Jarir transmitted this hadith from his father through several other chains of narrators. Abu Huraira reported Allah's Messenger as saying, "He who called people to righteousness, there would be reward assured for him, like the rewards of those who adhered to it, without their rewards being diminished in any respect. And he who called people to an error, he shall have to carry the burden like those who committed it, without their sins being diminished in any respect."